Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the SAE Rules podcast, episode 31. I think it's been a year since we've done one before. Is that correct?
I think more than a year. I think essentially COVID, kind of killed it in a way.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
yeah.
COVID ended, and then we went back to life, and then realized, oh, hang on a minute, there's stuff to do outside.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And no, but I'm glad that we're back, and that we get to talk and discuss together as we used to, starting with the race that just happened.
Yes, Japan Grand Prix. It's been a while since they were in Japan, isn't it? They had one last year, and then they skipped a year.
2020 and 2021.
Yeah,
I think
so it's been a while there.
we're off. But I love that circuit actually.
It's good, but it's always like a disaster circuit that I find. Like I always find that there's some disaster that happens there. I mean, what did you have before? You had Jules Bianchi, obviously.
Oh well, yeah, that was what 2014 actually.
Yeah.
It's 10 years ago.
So in typical fashion,
Charles Leclerc was wearing a special helmet.
He was indeed.
Jules Bianchi, yeah.
He was also very upset after last year's race. Remember what happened? It was raining as usual. Apart from today, where it wasn't raining. But
no,
what
ended up raining yesterday? Yeah.
Yeah, it rained the whole weekend except race
day. The day before, actually, yesterday. Yeah. For FP2.
Yeah.
So he was upset. No, I don't remember him being upset.
Well, remember who went off? Somebody crashed, and then because of the rain, and then they had the truck out, because that's how Jules died. They hit a forklift as they were trying to recover another car, and instead of red flagging the race last year, they let the cars run around while the same kind of truck was trying to recover a car from the tire barrier. So it was like, and then it became this like hilarious, well, not hilarious, but this thing online where people were just like, what are they doing? Blah, blah, blah. And the commentators were trying to defend F1, which was fair enough. That's who they're paid by. But like at the same time, you go, somebody died 10 years ago because of this.
Yeah, and I mean, they've been a bit more careful. I was actually surprised during the race when Sargent Yeah, Sargent went out on Degmo 2.
Yeah,
and then reversed back onto the track.
I didn't realize they actually had a reverse gear.
I thought, no, they do. It's pretty fragile apparently, but they do have it. It's part of the requirements. But yeah, I was surprised that they didn't, bring the safety car out.
Yeah, well, they red flagged the race overall.
No, that was
at the beginning. Yeah. Sorry,
they red flagged the race. With the incident between Albon and Ricciardo.
It was quite funny. The car ended up looking like a Le Mans racer because it was covered in so much crap.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was just unbelievable to see the car, and then as soon as he left, just leaving all that trail of dust behind him.
Yeah.
That was weird. But yeah, I haven't looked. I think they said they would investigate the incident between Albon and Ricciardo after the race.
Yeah, they didn't even make it to turn 3. It was
right, and that's the thing. I just for me, I think it looked like a race incident. I think that's what they commented as well.
Yeah. Before we get into the details, let's have a look at the results. So, in typical fashion, we had the Max show. We had a Red Bull 1 and 2. Max Verstappen, obviously, on the podium, leading his teammate by 12.5 seconds, which is still great. I think, we'll get into that in a moment. Right. But Carlos Sainz, someone else we'll talk a little bit more about.
The departing.
Yep. But, every race he's been in this year, he's ended up on a podium. So he's really, he's showing what he can do. So, Ferrari 3 and 4, Leclerc obviously in 4th.
Leclerc had a really great race, by the way. He made the one-stop work, and I think just showed the field, just that the power of the one stop. I mean, I guess it's theoretically it's two stops, but because we had that red flag, but still, just unbelievable what he's done, and I think as a result, he's driver of the day actually.
Yeah, I can imagine that would have been why. But then you've also got big brain Alonso. Oh well, sorry, Lando
Yeah,
Norris
there's
in
Lando
fifth,
before
and
this.
big brain Alonso
Yeah.
before Norris or after Norris, Russell, Piastri, Hamilton, and the local boy Tsunoda in 10th.
Piastri. Just a mention here. He's not gonna be happy with 8th because he made a mistake on the chicane at the end, on the 52nd lap or something.
Yeah.
And that's how George was just too close to him, and with DRS just got him.
Was
But
it
had he
him
not
that
made that mistake, he may have finished 7th.
was it him that had the slip up in the tunnel, or was that Norris?
I think the biggest slip up in the tunnel, or just before in Degmo 2, right?
Yeah.
Charles had a pretty big moment there.
Yeah.
I think Perez went also very wide once. I don't think Piastri did, but yeah, I might be wrong on this one.
Yeah. Overall, a pretty good race. I mean, it was interesting, but I suppose now that we've had a look at the results, maybe we can talk about a little bit about what happened in that race. So, I mean, let's be fair, it was red flagged by turn 3.
Yeah.
And ultimately, it was Ricciardo who really needs to be proving himself right now, and Albon touching and going off at turn 3. So I guess what exactly happened there?
Well, yeah, I think it was Stroll on the inside. Like they tried to go 3 abreast in an old school type track that just doesn't allow with those big, large ass cars to go 3 abreast. Essentially, Ricardo was looking left at Stroll and just didn't see Albon there on the right. And what happened is Ricardo, his right rear wheel touched the front wing of Albon, and just blew instantly.
Yeah.
And that's it. He was just a passenger after this, and the momentum also, brought Albon out. That was a pretty big crash. I'm just wondering if Williams will have another chassis if it has been damaged for China.
Yeah. I mean, this is the longest season we've had in F1, 24
Right.
races this year, and Williams, 4 races in, has basically bombed 2 chassis. So it's gonna be interesting to see how that's gonna affect them through the year. I mean, Williams for the last 10 years has never really been a hugely performing team.
Last year they were quite interesting because they had a lack of downforce that translated into quite high speed. They were always topping the speed trap.
Yeah.
And as a consequence, were quite hard to overtake. So Albon had quite a few really good races last year.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. This year, let's see how it's going to pan out for them, because if the chassis has been damaged during that crash, there's only 2 weeks until China, and that might prove to be a challenge they can't take.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's see.
My understanding was, they didn't say much, but I guess we sort of have to look at it and say, was this a racing incident? I mean, initially,
to me it is.
Yeah,
to me it is, because it's a first lap.
Yeah, initially I look at it and say, yeah, it's a racing incident, but I think the stewards are going to make the argument, or at least the teams are going to make the arguments that hey, what is it? Hey, Ricciardo darted right a bit late or early, and
Well,
tagged
he was taking
Albon.
the racing line. He was in front and taking the racing line, and I just don't think he's seen. I don't think he saw Albon there.
Yeah, I don't think he could have either, because he had two cars overtaking him, and also Stroll making a move. Not that I think he could see Stroll either. So I think he was the ham in the sandwich at that point. And he tried to get out of it and hold his racing line. And obviously Albon saw an opportunity that didn't quite work out for him. So, that's, at least for me, that's how I see what happened there.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I'm just looking. There's no update on the website either on the steward's decision. So let's see. But yeah, coming back to this, Ricciardo had to prove himself and was unable to during this race again. I just wonder if within the next 2 weeks we're gonna have a new driver lining up for the Chinese GP.
Yeah, well, I mean, you've got James Vowles, who's obviously, what was he, technical director at Mercedes?
Not sure.
Yeah, but he anyway, he's team principal at Williams. But he's funny because he's one of those guys that he's like, yeah, I'm all about the team and blah blah blah. And then you look at last race and he's like, Sergeant, get out of the car. Albon's taking yours. At the end of the day, he's just another savage like the rest of them.
Well, yeah, but at the end of the day too, you kind of have to understand where they're coming from, right? Albon has had a way better performance than Sargent, so those points or the ranking they're at, within the championship, the constructors championship, means millions and millions of euros, right? So, I mean, as a business owner, wouldn't you want to have your best employee in the car, knowing that you only have one, right? So you kind of have to. I don't see it as savage. I was just a bit surprised to see the media just going on and on and on about how brutal it was, and how Sargent must have been like disappointed and upset with the team and all of this. It's typical. In my view, it's just typical. The cheap, easy, lazy journalism.
Yeah.
Just trying to make a story out of something that is a business decision, and that is pretty understandable one at that.
Yeah, and you're right. I mean, it is a hard thing to do because you don't often see that, right? But I mean, you look at Sargent, the fact that he's still in the car. I think they're sort of banking on him maturing as a driver a little bit, but at the same time, the fact that let's be fair. What did he finish last in the championship last year? And Albon was consistently like 5 to 10 places above him in the previous season. It's kind of like,
right. I wonder where we have this sort of parallel we can draw. Oh yeah, Aston Martin.
yeah. But that's the thing. Stroll isn't actually a bad racer. I just don't think his head is actually in it. But when
you've seen the 2 overtakes he made on the S's, wow.
Yeah. And the thing is, when he wants to be quick, he's really quick. Like.
Do you think it might be like just you need like a psychology coach or something like this, just to give him that edge, to put his mind to it a bit more? I don't know.
Yeah, I think it might.
He is quick. You're right.
Yeah, I think it might be a little bit about that. He might have to take a page out of Rosberg, your favorite driver's book. When he sacrificed everything just to get that championship, and like it went as far as, I need to beat Lewis, so he stopped doing cycling so he could lose weight in his legs, like lose muscle in his legs to make him lighter in the car, just so he maxed out everything just to try and get a championship. And hey, it worked, but he then retired, which I guess is fair. I mean, it's kind of like a lot of people like, oh, you're not even going to defend your championship. It's like, Guys have had
Oh
on that.
no,
Yeah,
I'm not a big fan of Rosberg, as you know, but yeah, you gotta give it to him. It's his decision,
yeah,
and he put everything on the table to get that championship. Even though I think he got it more because Lewis lost than he won, because of the retirements and the few issues, reliability issues that Lewis had during that season. But yeah, just the dedication there. Yeah, you have to admire that.
absolutely. And that's
Uh,
the thing as well. I think this was in an era when it's. I'll draw another parallel, like you. Like once upon a time, Le Mans cars used to be held together with duct tape. I mean, they kind of still are, really, but they were much more fragile, But now a 24-hour race is like a sprint race. It's not an endurance race. They're just sprinting for 24 hours, and you'll find that the difference between, let's say, the first 10, we're talking. Some of them might even be on the same lap when they finish, So, and it's similar. It's similar to F1 now because the cars, I mean, we used to have, remember when we had the engine reg changes when we went to 1.6 turbo hybrids? Oh, those things were just blowing up all the time. And now we're at a stage where they last,
Yeah.
So, it's really coming down to the drivers itself now. Well, at least these days. And of course, the car plays a huge role and whatnot. But next year I think is going to be a very interesting season too, just because we're getting to the end of the technical regs for the engines, and I think at least there'll be some aero changes, but not many. So
yeah, I'm looking forward to this. I mean, it's always kind of putting. Actually, it's probably not putting everybody on the same foot, because some teams just don't have the same kind of spending power than others, and
yeah,
so a lot of the teams are customer teams. But no, it's going to be good to have Audi in 2026. Although I'm not sure if they're going to already appear under the name Audi in 2025. Actually, I'm wondering, since they took full ownership now of Sauber. They're 100% in apparently, so that will be interesting to see. The driver market is going to be also interesting, but I think a lot of things will move in the next few weeks rather than in the next few months.
Yeah, I think so.
And yeah, that brings us to Hamilton going to Ferrari.
Yeah, I mean, before the season of even
$500 million.
what
But did you
was it
see this?
$500 million?
Yeah, I think it's 446 million USD. I think
For how
the
many
package.
years?
I'm not too sure. I haven't seen the whole details of it as of yet. But what was quite a good move from Ferrari point of view is that their stock went up 10% at the announcement.
Yeah,
And that
exactly.
10% meant 7 billion USD.
Yeah.
So they got Hamilton at a discount. Yeah, have a look at the details of Lewis's package. I just didn't find anything that seemed to be consistent, but I haven't checked in a couple of weeks. So
yeah. Well, I
maybe
mean,
there's more details now.
That's one of the things about this deal, right? Like, everyone was talking so much about this, and I sort of look at it and say, was it really unexpected though? Because I don't think it was unexpected.
I think it was. I think it was unexpected. The thing is, a few things pushed towards realizing that this move could be made. At the end of the day, he's got nothing to lose. He's at the twilight of his career now.
Yeah.
And racing for Ferrari is, I think, most drivers' dream, right?
Yeah.
For me, what kind of hinted at a big move from Ferrari was when they extended Charles Leclerc's contract to 2028, I think it is.
Yeah.
And I thought, why would they secure Leclerc for such a long time with no announcement for Sainz It's just like kind of, okay, something is happening there. So that was a hint, I think, in there. Now, when it comes to Lewis Hamilton, the thing is, right now Mercedes is just having a hard time since the change of regulation and the aero, right? Change of regulation. So he sees that the team will not give him in the next 2 years a car that would allow him to even fight for podiums or championships. And this is where it's interesting, because Lewis Hamilton is going there in 2025 to get, accustomed to the team, its processes, its people, its culture, etc., right? But they must have showed him something that enticed him to join also for 2026 and the change of regulations again.
That's exactly what you mean, Hamilton.
Yeah. I mean, to get him, because I don't think it's only about the money. The guy has more money than he can spend anyway in 10 lifetimes. But I think Ferrari has got something in the bag for 2026.
I think so too, and that's the reason why he was able to get away from McLaren as well. Am I having freezing issues? No. And that's the other thing we got to consider as well, is that there is all that Red Bull hubbub, after Dietrich died.
Right.
Suddenly all the shit started kicking up in the Red Bull camp, and you had that scandal with Horner and everything like that. And there's this interesting, and there's this interesting thing. Like, there's a lot of rumors going around that Newey might go to Ferrari.
Newey.
Yeah,
that's another rumor I heard. I don't know what to make of this one, really. But then, that means Ferrari has really an unlimited budget.
They do.
Because it's going to bump the stock probably another 10% as well if he goes there.
Yeah, absolutely. But that would be interesting, because, like you said, they may have shown him something. And if we look at it and go, Horner is potentially looking at making his way out and Newey's not done, I'm sure Newey would love to win championships for Ferrari as well. Like, you can't pretend like they're the biggest name in the sport. So why wouldn't he want to have the opportunity?
Right. That would be a huge move, yeah. That would be as big as Hamilton going there.
It would. So I think that would be quite interesting as well.
I think lawyers are going to be busy over the next few months.
Yeah, that's probably why they kicked off the silly season so early.
Yeah, I mean, probably Lewis's case was the easiest one to deal with.
Yeah.
But they can't make an announcement ahead of time unless, everything has been checked and everything checks out.
Yeah. The other thing that's worth looking at is that, going back to Hamilton, like we were saying, that for me it wasn't that much of a surprise, because Hamilton's last contract was also only 1 year. He only got a 1-year extension. And everyone was saying, well, why are they doing that? Like, and a lot of people were speculating because he wanted to be some kind of ambassador or something like that. And I look at it and I'm like, well, I didn't think he'd move to Ferrari, but I didn't think he'd move from Mercedes either. And from that, I just go, okay. But Hamilton has always said, like, even since he was little, that he'd love to win a championship with Ferrari or finish his career driving for Ferrari. So you at least have another 5 years of him in the sport, potentially.
How old is he now? 36?
39.
39. Okay.
Yeah. He's approaching Alonso's age, But yeah,
he's not approaching Alonso's age. How do you approach somebody else's age?
Yeah, but I mean, he's in that same sort of class, of seasoned driver.
Yeah. Wow. Alonso, coming back to Alonso. Wow. And I wonder what he's going to be doing.
I don't know.
Mr. Opportunistic.
Because that's the thing. Because I mean, we have like science as well. Like what happens with science? Because right now you're looking at it and it's like he's in a slower car on a podium every race this season, right?
Yeah.
He hasn't had we always knew that he was just Mr. Bad Luck, right?
Right.
He was every time that he didn't finish a race or made a mistake or something like that. A lot of the time, at the beginning of the new regs, they were making, Leclerc and Sainz were making a lot of errors, and I think it's that they just weren't used to racing ground effects cars,
Yeah,
But
I think. I think it's. I mean, we saw that. And sorry, I've got a different Leclerc here, as you know. I have a bit of a bias here.
Yeah.
Second half of last year, Leclerc was much better because he preferred the oversteering characteristics of the car. That's what he's all about.
Yeah.
And then he was faster, consistently faster than Sainz. It seems now at the beginning of this season that Sainz has gotten something has clicked for him that hasn't yet for Leclerc.
Yeah, but it's great. It's good to see Saints performing. But what it does do is you've got a lot of questions because you have, well, is Red Bull going to look at him and go, is Sergio's time up? Not that I think Sergio deserves to go because I think he's doing a good job. I think he's been running a really good season. And at the end of last year, last year he had a lot of bad luck in the first half of the year, but the rest of the year he was fine. And then this year, obviously, he's performing well. And you see his quali paces and running pace. His times were pretty similar to Verstappen as well. So it's not like he's suddenly running out of talent either.
Right. Yeah. So let's see what happens there. Sainz has got, I think, a few options in front of him. He's just got to seize the right one because he hasn't been. Yeah. I think he deserves. I think he might not be looking at Red Bull because he doesn't want to be again a second driver.
Yeah.
In a team.
But everyone always talks about him and Audi. But that's 2 years away, you know what I mean? So I look at...
Yeah, but again, Audi made a move and accelerated things by investing into Sauber and taking 100% ownership.
Yeah.
Earlier than what was planned. So does that mean that, they want to accelerate things also with the driver lineup? I think Bottas and Zhou, they must be frantically typing up their CVs again.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, you look at Audi and you look at their motorsport history, it's just like kings of the gravel, kings of Le Mans, and now they want to be kings of F1. You sort of go, even though their cars these days are boring as all hell, and they're aging a bit. They haven't even bothered to like update their interiors and whatnot. You look at sorry, we'll get to that in a moment. But they are motorsport hungry, and they, more than anything, Audi is very much a marketing company as well, and they look at this as a huge opportunity to
it is
to really do something great, and I think they could. I think I look at them and go, I think they could be very successful there. But with Zhou and Bottas, you look at it and go, Bottas isn't a bad driver at all.
No,
he puts that Sauber,
and he proved it this weekend. By the way, again, he qualified great.
He puts that Sauber way above where it should be.
Yeah.
And I don't. But do they see him as championship winning potential? Do they see Zhou as championship winning potential? Probably not. You look at Audi's talent pool, who races for them, and let's be fair, Audi and Porsche are like this, they're like buddies. And let's be real as well. Audi was in, or still is in Formula E, and they were putting a lot of their Porsche and Audi drivers through Formula E as well to get them open wheel experience.
Right. So the thing is, just coming back to science for a second, I think this would be a much. I mean, if you look at the prospect of joining Audi, which is going to be a full manufacturer, the thing is, for his career, right? I just don't see him going back to Red Bull even for a year.
No,
Because again,
neither
he's
do
going
I.
to be number 2 driver, and I don't think
Yeah.
that's the role that he wants.
Yeah.
To have. So,
and I don't think he'll be. I don't think he'll. We're potentially looking, and that's the thing. I don't think Red Bull wants to get rid of Checo, who is performing well.
Yeah.
To get Sainz in the car for one season, knowing he might actually move to another manufacturer.
After, yes, exactly. I mean, so I just don't see this move happening. I mean, let's see. Maybe in the future I'm going to be proved wrong, but I just don't see this happening. And talking about rumors as well, and where there are ties. So the rumor of Sainz going to Audi is because the father has strong ties with Audi, right? I mean, the foundation of it. Then there's the results, Sainz results also that are really, really good.
Correct.
So there's another rumor that I read was that Adrian Newey, coming back to him, could also potentially go to Aston Martin. And we know there are ties between Aston Martin and Adrian Newey also in the past, right? So, let's see what's going to happen. But there's so much picking from other teams and poaching from other teams at the moment for talent, whether it be drivers or designers or engineers. It's interesting.
Yeah, exactly. And I think this would be. I'm honestly really looking forward to seeing Audi on the grid. I don't know how much more I have to say about their broadcast, to be fair. But but that being said, it's going to be really exciting. It's going to have another manufacturer entering. But it throws into doubt who's going to be in those seats. So let's see who's going to be in those seats. But with Sainz as well, like I think the biggest question mark now is. You've got 3. You've got all the Spanish speakers, Sainz, Checo, and Sergio. What's happening with them? Because sorry, I just said to
Alonso. Did you just say Sergio and
Sergio and Checo? I meant Alonso, Checo, and Sainz. Yeah, those 3 are just 3 wild cards. Checo, because everyone's always talking about is Red Bull going to drop him, and then you've got Sainz for obvious reasons, and Alonso because he just does whatever the fuck he wants to do.
I mean, he's that good. Proved it again. I mean, how he used Piastri to protect himself from Russell today was again.
Yeah, so I've got this in my notes. Alonso 1,000 IQ. So explain that to the people that
it's just the
racecraft,
the racecraft of slowing down enough to get Piastri into the DRS zone so that it would be a DRS train, so that Russell, who was on much fresher tires, wouldn't be able to overtake Piastri and therefore threaten Alonso. That allowed him to finish 6th, and Piastri could potentially have finished 7th if he hadn't done that, had that moment and mistake on the last chicane on turn 16, 17. But Piastri, just a great talent as well, by the way. I think.
I mean, he was.
All the hopes should be going for Australia. Should be going behind the Piastri at this stage because again, Ricciardo had just a very difficult beginning of the season.
Well, I mean, we touched on it.
I'm not sure how long that's gonna last.
We touched on it earlier. He really. It was a surprise to see him leave from Red Bull, where he could have been a number 1 driver, at least be fighting for a championship. Moved to Renault because he was very keen.
Let's not talk about Alpine.
But let's be fair. Like when he was at Renault, he was really starting to turn that around.
Yes, he
and
was. Yeah.
like Hamilton, Hamilton's like, I always want to finish my career or win a championship with Ferrari. That's everyone's dream, right? I mean,
yes,
I'm in no shape, or I'm even too tall to be a race car driver. But even for me, if I had the opportunity, I'd take it. You know what I mean? But at the same time, like Ricciardo had aspirations of being a factory driver, race for a manufacturer. So he went to Renault and then McLaren, and at Renault he was turning it around, and then McLaren he looked like a rookie again, and then had the year off, and they threw him back in the car end of last year, and then you just look at it and it's just like, where's the performance? It could be another Saints 2021 situation where he's just having bad luck, but I mean, dude, he's when he has a clean race, we're not seeing much, unless that Red Bull, that RB Visa is just that bad.
Well, the thing is, they're going to change his chassis as well, because they just can't. It has to come from the car, according to Ricciardo.
Yeah.
Or the team around him. I'm not too sure, but at the end of the day, they're going to change his chassis for the Chinese Grand Prix. So,
okay.
Yeah, if he makes it another couple of weeks, which is all down to Mr. Marco Helmut. Yeah, let's see.
Yeah, because I'm just looking. I mean, he's got high hopes and everything like that, but I don't know. Maybe it could just be a situation where Tsunoda can just get more out of the car than he can, just by nature of he's been there longer.
Yeah, I think I mean, again, when you see what he's been doing since the beginning of the year, and scoring his first point for on the Japanese Grand Prix. So scoring his first point, not his first point of the year, but for the first time scoring points in Japan.
Yeah.
He raced really well. He did also some gutsy overtakes during the race. That was really good to see him there.
Absolutely, yeah. So that's really positive for Yuki. But Yuki, I always saw him as the grid, or they treat him like a cute, like you treat kids,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what a mouth on him.
He was, but he was a bit of a joke. He was there because of Honda, obviously.
Yeah, this I can't shake it off my mind either. That's the image I have of him.
But the thing is, like, you put him in a car and he drives well. Like, he does better than he should, and I think what we all have to accept is, and that's the thing, I like Yuki, right? But I think the reality is he's a real racer now. Like, he's up there, and if you put him in a comparable car, he could potentially be fighting up there. And speaking of that as well, it's something I just remembered is that I think Mr. Stroll, Senior, is trying to get his checkbook out for Aston Martin for Newey. That's something I heard this week too. Sorry, I know we're changing topics, but that's another
we're coming
thing.
back to the rumor I was telling you about. I was telling you earlier that there's that rumor as well, and there are strong ties in the past. I mean, Adrian Newey, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he was the one also one of the designers of the Valkyrie.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
At a time when Red Bull was trying to keep him by motivating him to have some other things to do that would be of more interest to him.
Yeah, exactly.
After so many years in F1.
Yeah, so that would be really interesting, if they managed to retain Alonso and grab Newey. Can you imagine that? It'd be like the old. I don't know how old the old school boys were when they were winning championships, but can you imagine Alonso in the modern era winning a championship with an Aston Martin? Like,
that would make history.
It would, and it would at least give the world to see, is Stroll really worth being out there? Because if you give him a fast car and he can actually, pull his finger out and show that he's capable of delivering results, then
that would be good. But enough about F1.
Yeah.
Let's
Okay,
leave the
that was
hybrid nonsense to go to electric.
yeah.
Nonsense.
So where do you want to start with this? Because it sounds like you
Well, I
want to
think
take this
it's
opportunity to publicly make fun of me.
yeah.
Okay, I give you the floor, good sir. I'm going to top up my drink, and that means I'm not here to stop you when you are saying lovely things about me.
I'm
So
not gonna
go
say
for it, my friend.
nothing. Eric is going for an electric car, and to add insult to injury, he's going for a BYD, which are apparently very good. So I've sat in a couple taxis using BYD, and it's true, the interior and the whole software and everything kind of looks really cool actually. So the best is going to be to hear from him what he's so into it, and because he's an insecure man, he's going to justify it. So Eric, come back, top up your drink, and come back to tell us all about the BYD, the model that you're looking at. So please share your screen so everybody can see it. Yeah, justified choice. Again, I think one of the things to keep in mind is that we are in countries where we don't have necessarily a wide range of choices. But yeah, explain to the audience that is not there to this is why you went with the BYD.
All right. So where do I begin? I mean, I think I got away with that pretty scot free. I didn't think I thought you'd be a little bit more savage, but I think there's an undertone of maybe Eric's making the right decision here. Am I right or am I wrong?
Yeah, I think you're right. Again, we don't really necessarily have a big choice of brands and models in the countries where we live in. Not as much in Thailand and even less in Indonesia from what I can see when I'm there or from what you've been describing. So
yeah. So this is called the SEA Wheels podcast, SEA being Southeast Asia, W for wheels. And Julian and I are both out here. We're in different countries, but one thing, we've both spent some time in Australia where you just have a myriad of options that you can purchase, and you can see anybody with very nice cars, respectable nice cars, because they're actually attainable. When we start talking performance stuff, yeah, the prices creep up, but when we're talking about normal cars, things are attainable. C-Class is attainable, things like that. I think all of this kicked off a little while ago because transitioning into a new role and thinking about what I'm going to do for the future for transport. And before I was driving around in company cars, which you don't necessarily get much choice in. But the other thing is, one of the things you want to look at is there's a lot of Toyotas out here. I think that's one thing Julie and I can agree on, and they're often not the most fun options. I mean, to give you an example, if you want a fun Toyota, let's say a GR86 in Australia, you're probably looking at $40,000, which is what, 30,000 American USD. Here, $100,000 Australian. So there's a bit of a price difference. So cars that Julie and I would normally not even think about. This is like, if Julie and I lived in Australia on our salaries, we would go for lunch, have 3 or 4 bottles of wine, and be in a dealership buying these cars on the spot, and then waking up the next morning going, why did we do this? We wouldn't think about it. It would just happen. Here, you have to think about these decisions. So we had the International Motor Show in Jakarta.
We wouldn't drive and drink and drive, just as I mentioned there.
Well, that's what tow trucks are for. Or you know what? It wouldn't even it'd get on a tow truck, but they wouldn't go home. They'd just be dropped straight at a performance shop. I'm like, I could totally see that that's what we would do if we were still in Australia. But all that aside, like, International Motor Show was on. I was considering, what are my options? So I went and I had a look at a few cars, and I landed on either the BMW 3 Series, like a 330, IM Sport, or C300. Which I wasn't too happy about, because you can imagine, a C300 in a lot of countries. It's not we're not talking astronomical amounts of money here, but both of these cars, same class of car, same sort of performance and engine type. They're upwards of $135,000 here, and I was sort of at a point where I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to bite the bullet and do that. The reason why, again, to caveat more, to jumping from performance right into what we would consider taxis in Europe, is purely because Julie and I, last time we met, I think, which was in October last year, we said we need to focus on the daily. Get the daily, get a driver, whatever you need to do, but get the daily, and then start thinking about the start thinking about the fun performance car.
And the rationale behind this was just to keep our other respective other halves happy.
Yeah, we have families, we have responsibilities, we have jobs, we need to be places, we need to we just need it, for those reasons. This is one of the few areas in life where I conceded to Julian and said, okay, it's time to be responsible then. So we looked at those. I had a couple of champagnes and went, okay, I think I'm going to have to pick the C class. Raisha's happy with that. And then by pure accident, a couple of weeks later, I was walking back through the mall from the gym, and BYD had a stand there, and I thought, I'll go have a look. It's a car display in a mall. Why wouldn't I have a look?
So a moment of weakness.
Yeah, a moment of weakness. Put cars in front of my face and I'm going to want to fiddle with them. It's just who I am. All that aside, went in, had a look, and I thought, I'll have a look at the Seal. Last time I was in Bangkok, I saw a couple of them driving around. I thought they're quite interesting looking cars, but, frankly, I didn't.
Can you show us?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to share that.
Talking about.
Let me do some computer jiggery pokery.
Just for the people who don't watch us in Europe.
I think BYD is in Europe, but
are they already there? Oh well, Euro NCAP, so I guess yes.
Yeah. So hang on, I don't know which side I'm on actually. Okay, sharing. So this is the BYD Seal. So I saw this, amongst their other cars like the Atto and their other compact stuff. But my impression of BYD has always been that they made Chinese electric commercial vehicles. And when they made passenger vehicles, they just convert a commercial vehicle with some seats, and then it's kind of crap and whatever else, Because at least that's my experience when I get a BYD, whatever this van thing is, from the airport. Wasn't particularly refined. This, however, I stumbled across it and I had a look at it, and I was like, okay, it looks pretty interesting. I've seen them in Bangkok. I love the lights and everything like that. I don't like it in this color. I have to say the black is good. But, going back to what my options I was looking at before, you're roughly looking at a 330 or a C300. You're looking at a car that has 190 kilowatts. 190 kilowatts, 0 to 60 in 6.5 seconds, something like that. And you're looking at $135,000 upwards, depending on what other options you're ticking or whatnot. So I'm already getting reamed from what if I was buying in Australia. So then I had a look at this and went, oh, this is quite interesting. I don't mind it. It's roomy, and then I looked at the performance.
What size is this? Is that more like a 3 or a 5?
It's like a 3 series size.
Okay.
So I had a look at it and went, holy crap, this thing is fast. Really fast.
Faster than the Mustang.
I think it's somewhere between the Model 3 and the Model S Teslas. They're saloon cars. And I look at that and went, man, this thing is quick and it's not ugly. As you can see, I like this view, and I particularly like it in the color black. So, is there a way I can change the color? But I think it is a good looking car. I jumped inside and I went, the interior is pretty cool. It actually has more interior equipment than the BMW and the C-Class.
Put together.
Yeah. So because one of the things as well is we live in very hot countries. It is 31 degrees year round. It doesn't change. And
yeah, 39
I was like,
yesterday here.
Yeah. And I'm just like, can I have a car with cooled seats? And for $135,000, you don't get that in a Mercedes or a BMW. You get warmed seats. For what reason, I don't know, but you get warmed seats. But at least in the BYD, you get cooled seats. And I get more performance. So you're roughly looking at something like 350 kilowatts, or was that 525 horsepower, something like that, out of this thing. You get a funky interior. There are bits I don't like, I'm not going to lie. But I found myself looking at this car and going, give me a reason to hate this thing. Because I shouldn't like it. But there is so much in this car that I like. And the other thing that is I wanted a car that I'm at least going to enjoy, because the fun car is not coming until later, right? And then I saw the performance of this thing and I'm just like, all right, I'm convinced.
I can get behind that.
Yeah, I was just like, this thing is so fast. I live attached to a mall, and so charging is not going to be an issue. I'm not doing huge distances, and even the distances that I would be driving, like upwards of 200 kilometers. Obviously, this thing has the range for it, but where I would be going has a lot of charges too. So I'm just like, so this car makes sense for me. And the thing that makes more sense, remember, 330 M Sport, C300 AMG design package. They're not really the M or AMG cars, right? This is 70 grand. Those 135. So we're talking half the price. And I'm like, I'm getting more performance, more interior, more everything, but I'm paying less. And I'm just like,
yeah, question mark remains the resale value, obviously. So the cost of ownership of the car.
Correct. Yeah.
But maintenance in theory should be less anyway. So I think it's a wise choice. I think what people can't. I also agree. The design is quite nice. You've got that sky view, whatever.
Panoramic
roof, or panoramic roof, or I don't know what it's called. I think the brands they just call it whatever they want. Panoramic sunroof. There you go. But what people can't see, and apparently which is extremely good, and I think you can look it up on YouTube probably, but the software inside apparently is really, really good in those cars.
Yeah. I did a lot of research, and I think I've made up my mind on this thing. I'm not in a rush to get anything just yet, because I'm still trying to work out my my whole living situation of how's visas and everything going to work. But all that aside, I'm just like, why I can't. I even called Julian the day I saw it, and I thought, am I being stupid? Like, I can't. I'm sitting.
To which I answered yes, absolutely.
But I'm trying to find a reason to hate this thing, because I shouldn't like it, but I do.
I think you should like it. I think it's a sensible choice. You're just getting old, man. That's all.
Yeah. I mean, it comes back to your discussion of, I had to think of it daily, right? And this seems to be ticking all the boxes. And the other thing as well is I was in my driving position, and people got in behind me, and they're like, I've got room, man, like plenty of room. So that's the thing. Like it seems to be fit for purpose.
Yeah. Yes, and that's what you need for a daily.
Yeah, and for most of the time, I'm not going to be driving it. The driver will. But when I look at when I'm gonna drive it, I go, hey, 3.8 seconds to 100 from a car that's 70 grand. I'm pretty happy with that.
Actually, because for me, as you know, I have a 7 Series, right? The 730 LD.
Yeah.
So it's a G12 because the new design I'm not a big fan of, but
Yeah.
there is the i5 that I really like. How does it compare to this in terms of performance?
Well, let me have a look at that. So well, it's not out in Asia yet, is it?
The i5 it is in Thailand, so it
Okay.
looks mega, really nice.
Yeah. Let me have
And that's why I might be going from 7 down to 5. Because again, I don't use it that much. It's really to bring my son to school and back.
Yeah. Well, I was looking at the 7 Series as well, your generation. It was a 730 Li, so long wheelbase, but it had the M Sport package instead of the Comfort package on it. And even that was 120 grand. And I thought, well, it's probably better to get that than a new smaller car with less equipment, And then I stumbled across this and went, well, this is actually makes more sense. Sorry, I'm just trying to find some stats for you, my friend. Okay. Let's have a look. Performance. I keep getting ads for. Okay, here we go. Let me share my screen with you and then share my screen with the audience. Bear with me. So here we go. We're looking at car and driver.
Yeah.
For all of those.
It does look good, doesn't it?
Yeah. I think it looks really good. A lot of people don't like it. I think they say it's messy. But look at this, 68,000 USD for that. And then here, this thing would cost a fortune. Let's be real. But okay, overview. 590 horsepower from dual motors and a 0-60 time that will estimate 3.3 seconds.
All right.
This is very respectable. I think this could potentially be a very good. Our Instagram stream ended. I think you can only share. I think you can only do 1 hour stream. Hang on, I can stop that.
Well, we should
start it again. But no, that's okay. We're still live on YouTube, so don't worry.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's we're still live on YouTube, so we can keep going.
That's the M60 X-Drive though, but which one is being sold here in Thailand?
Well, there's the i5 trims. E40 has 389 horsepower, which is still a lot. I mean, that's a lot.
It's the i5 eDrive 40. Oh, they have the M60 as well.
They do?
Yes, they do.
Okay, so you're looking at roughly. Okay, so you've got, if you want, it's all going to come down to price, but M60 is 590, and then you've got the.
Yeah, but it's the difference is about 600,000 baht difference.
Yeah.
So definitely go for the M60, right?
I mean, I thought it's quite cool. I like it.
5.4 million baht.
So what's that? What are we talking in real money?
In real money?
So 5.4 million baht in real money. $147,000 USD. So that's what we're talking there.
Yeah.
I seem to have shared that with the internet, and you can also see when I type. One thing you never want to type in your browser is the letter X, is it?
Right.
That always comes around with problems. I'm glad I did that. Nothing bad happened there.
Yeah. Just looking at it right now.
So tell me more. Like, what's your thinking behind this?
The BYD. We're still on the BYD, right?
No, the i5.
The i5. Yeah, I'll probably go for the base model.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Why is that?
As I said, it's just a car that is used to bring my son to and from school.
Okay.
So
I mean,
yeah,
I can't. I honestly can't argue with that because I think it would be a great car.
the only problem is that at my condominium there's no plug.
Yeah, but you're do they have them at where is it, the other at like the malls and everything?
Yes, they do have some, yes.
So considering that your driver doesn't necessarily, isn't necessarily waiting around for you, really, is he?
No.
So if he's only really waiting around for your son, take it to a mall.
Let's have a look at the i7.
The i7 is nice.
Models. 7 Series. Now we're talking. I just the design of it. I'm not a big
Of the i7.
the 7 Series in general. I just can't get behind it.
I don't think it's bad.
It doesn't look so good. It's just clumsy from the sides.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I find. Yeah, food for thought. I mean, I'm still happy. I just changed the tires on the 730. So
Okay.
yeah, I think I'll stay with that for now.
Sure.
I'm not in a hurry to change anyway. I think yeah. My wife's car is well, it's still pretty new actually. It's a 2020 model, I think. 2021 or 2020.
So it's going to be a replacement for the 7 Series then, is that?
Yeah, I think that's the next one.
Yeah. I can't say that it's a bad choice, man. It's it's, I think it looks better. I think it looks better than the current 5 Series. I don't really like the look of the current 5 Series. Honestly, I look at it, I think it looks a bit clumsy. I don't know if you can see my screen, but yeah, this is.
I can see i5.
Yeah, I mean, even if we look at the normal one, but I think this looks a bit better. The M Sport package, which looks frankly identical to the normal one.
Yeah.
What's the difference?
Look. I don't know. I think it's both the picture of an M package anyway.
Yeah, potentially. Oh, this is M Sport package and M Sport Pro. So they only do it in M Sport. Okay. I mean, to me, this looks better than the current 5 Series.
Yeah, it does.
Well, what does the rear look like? What do we got in interior shots? Who cares? Charging. Interior design. I mean, that's standard BMW, like modernized with the.
It is, yeah.
But you know what we care about is the back seats. But I think that's a nice profile.
Yeah, it's nice. It's really really nice. I like
it. It's almost CLS, proportions.
And whatever you do, don't ever get a screen in a car on the back seats. I mean,
why's that?
Just never used it.
Yeah, I mean, you've got
just
them
never
now.
Use it. Yeah, but never used it. I don't even know if they work, to be honest. Just like, just having to connect and do everything, and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Better off with your tablet or your phone or whatever.
Yeah.
When you're sitting at the back again,
If
not
you're
when you're
wondering why
driving.
my shirt is wet, is because my aircon is broken.
Oh, are you warm?
Oh my god. The AC, all of our AC is leaking water.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, during the race, we're sitting there watching the race, and then for some reason I start hearing like a tap is on, like the amount of water running down.
Yeah.
I come into the studio, and my studio aircon is like, it's like a consistent like stream of water coming from the ceiling. I'm like, what the hell? So it's just like, right now I'm just sweating. It's like, it's got no idea. This is why I got
All
like
right. Well,
so
that
much.
should be the time for us to finish anyway.
Yeah, sounds good, man. Well, thank you everybody for joining on.
It was good to be back.
Both our platforms. Very good to be back. Should we schedule this in for next week again?
Yeah, we have to do it next week again.
Sounds good.
I'm gonna be. Where am I gonna be next week? I'm gonna be in Phuket.
Okay, lovely.
Yeah.
Well, that's very good. We can do these streams from wherever now that I've finally got this all sorted out and my OBS isn't being a bitch. We can get this going more. All right. Well, thank you very much, everybody.
Sounds good. Thanks, mate. Thanks for sorting out all the software side as well.
No worries.
Bye. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.